Happy Thursday, Lean Team. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to laugh about. So grab a beverage. Hopefully you're wearing something very comfy. Smash that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get this Thursday, January 23rd party started.
If you like what you see, come and get it with me. I know you deserve all you want, 'cause your heart's made of gold. But don't wait till you're old. If you want it, I get you some.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, stand-up comedian and pop culture vulture, Joleen Lunzer, here for another No Offense, All Offense, where we talk about pop culture news, trending topics, news stories, reality shows, things we love to hate, things we hate to love. As you can see, I am joined here by my production team, Dave Dog, who, you know, they're in training. Princeton. We have Buffy down here. So come here, Davey. Yeah. So probably something's going to get knocked over back there. And that's just how it is going to be. Hopefully everyone is having a wonderful Thursday. It is Traders Day. All right. We have a new episode of Traders. I'll be doing a watch party for that tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. So make sure your notifications are on so you can see as soon as that live is created. And then we also have The Pit, the TV show I've been watching on Max with Noah Wiley. That's out tonight. Something else was out tonight, and now I forgot what it is. Anywho, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. We're on our way to 50K subscribers. Thank you. Grab a beverage if you want to support the channel further. You know the drill. You're always welcome to send a super chat while we're live here on YouTube. I'll highlight your comment. You can also send a super thanks after the video post. Thank you to those of you who have been doing that. I do have a Venmo, PayPal, Cash App in the description, as well as links to my YouTube membership and Patreon if you're interested in some exclusive bonus content. Yes, all three of them are very hard at work. As we can see, Prince and Cordelia just working so hard, staring up at the disco ball, wondering how they can jump on it and destroy the entire room. So yes, hello, Steven. We need to do a members. Maybe tomorrow I can sneak Steven away after Chell and I do our Let's Talk About the Husbands. Tomorrow, Chell will be joining us for our Friday Let's Talk About the Husbands. And this time he'll be picking some topics. I mean, last Friday we did talk about some interesting things, but we just kind of we winged it. You know, we were like, let's wing it because Chell forgot that he's the producer. And on Fridays, he has to come correct and with some topics. So maybe, Steven, let me know if you're available maybe tomorrow sometime after the No Offense, All Offense. We can sneak away and have a little secret members only, Patreon supporters only live. If not, maybe on Monday, and then we can talk some traitors. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lots of nudes on the eyes. That's nudes. Okay. Let's get talking about things that are going on in the world that we live in, the things we love to watch, and like I said, the things we hate to watch. Well, Allie Luber has put out a statement on her social media. We know Allie and James, they were dealing with an alleged DV incident. There was an arrest of James charged with misdemeanor DV. And we don't know for sure. I don't know. We'll read Allie's little statement here, but it looks like they're not together. She's been moving her stuff out of their shared home. Allegedly, her family went there to kind of get her out of the situation because according to the police report, James allegedly picked her up and threw her on the ground, and the neighbors called the police and they heard, and this isn't the first we've heard of James Kennedy and DV. But according to news outlets today, you guys, E! News is the one we have here. James Kennedy's ex, Allie Luber, shares what happened on the night of his domestic, we'll say DV, because YouTube doesn't like when we say that. Basically, let's just read through this because we got to talk about it. So Allie Luber shares what happened the night of his DV arrest. Allie Luber cleared the air on what led to ex James Kennedy's December 10th arrest for DV. Prosecutors ultimately decided not to charge the Vanderpump Rules star over the incident, which is, to me, the biggest news coming out today is that they will not go forward with charges. And we've talked about this before. In situations like this, I really do feel, and someone like James, where there's been so much chatter through the years and so many accusations from other women regarding DV, to not have any kind of consequences, I think is so dangerous. And it leads us down a horrible road where James can just continue this kind of behavior and can continue allegedly hurting women. I don't understand the decision. I feel like so many of these problematic men and, problematic Bravo men that we watch, they are able to get away with so much. And we've learned that the longer we allow, as a society or within our judicial system, these kind of toxic dudes to run amok and continue hurting women, and we don't check them because, there's allegations that Bravo knew more than they're, letting on through the years, and that they might have been behind kind of protecting him. And James needs help, and he needs to face consequences for his actions for once. The only time we see any movement with James as if he's going to change is when something is taken from him, is when his world is directly affected. And we can go back to the Lisa Vanderpump days on Vanderpump Rules when she would take away his ability to DJ. Unfortunately, it was never long enough, and he always went back into the behavior, but he was never seemingly willing to change until there were consequences held over his head. But then, unfortunately, the consequences were either, pretty small, or they didn't follow through completely with the consequences. And they were like, he's better. And then too soon, he was able to just go right back into the same pattern of behavior with alleged drug and alcohol abuse, and then also alleged DV. So it's just frustrating, because I was really thinking this could be, a bottom for him. Maybe this could be a time where he actually would see consequences for his actions, but they decided not to press charges. So Allie Luber cleared the air, and Allie is setting the record straight on James Kennedy's run-in with the police, while sharing that she and the Vanderpump Rules star had broken up. So she has said it's official, they're broken up. After 3 years of dating, the 29-year-old also shed light on the events that led up to James' DV arrest in December, and confirmed she was involved in the alleged incident. So we knew it was Allie, but this is the first time we're really hearing her say, yes, it was me, and here's what happened. Okay. We had an argument, she said, outside of his home related to him drinking again. And that's going to keep happening in your life, James, until you figure it out. Allie wrote on Instagram story January 22nd. However, I was not physically hurt. So let's pull up actually her Instagram story, because I have a screenshot of it here so we can just read it. We don't need e-news to explain to us a story that's, her Instagram story that we can clearly, read and interpret on our own. So let's just take a look here. All right. Let me share that with you guys. Thank you for your patience. So Allie Luber posted yesterday on her stories. Thank you. I think it was yesterday. Thank you all for your support and kindness. I am happy that prosecutors decided not to file against James, as I never desired criminal charges. We had an argument outside of his home related to him drinking again. However, I was not physically hurt. I was shocked by the headlines and disheartened by how the event was portrayed. We are no longer together, but I'll always support James and wish him the best with his sobriety and healing. Thank you for your understanding. So obviously, words are very important. The way she worded this, she didn't say he never put his hands on me, he never threw me, he never picked me up, he never pushed me. She didn't say any of those things. She said that I was not physically hurt. So that couldn't, obviously that's very different than saying he didn't do anything to me. It's that maybe, it leads us to the same conclusion that we saw once the police report was released, that when she had reported it to the police, it was that he had kind of thrown her across the room. But now the wording is very interesting. And there could be many reasons why Allie doesn't want him prosecuted. There could still be quite a bit of love there. She could have guilt. She could have fear of not knowing what this man is capable of. I think, unfortunately, in these situations, there's so much that falls on the abused, where they have this guilt and it's like, you could ruin this man's life. It's like, no, this man is ruining his life on his own. It is not up to his victims to protect him if he's not willing to protect himself by not doing this in the first place. So as nice as this is, or for whatever reason, I'm just going to respect that that's Allie's decision and it's her situation. That she didn't want criminal charges. She could just not want this to be bigger than it already is. It can already be very difficult for her to process. There can be so many reasons that she feels this way. And I'd be lying if I said the first time I read this, I wasn't like, come on, like, please. I want criminal charges on a guy that has been accused for years of hurting women. And then, most recently was arrested for, getting in a fight and physically attacking Allie. So yeah, I want him to have some consequences because I don't want this to happen to another woman. Like I'm not worried about James Kennedy. I'm worried about the other women that he will run into, the other people he will hurt. At this point, James he's got to fix himself. He has to figure it out. It is not on us women. It is not on other men. It is on James to fix his ass. But a little bit on, people around him, whether it be his friends or, places where he works, to also hold him accountable. And I feel like this is just not holding him accountable. I'm going to jump into the chat and see what you guys are saying. April says she is still protecting him, though. I know. And it's such a hard situation. I don't want to judge Allie's decision because your mind is just, I don't know where hers is at. And being in that situation, in a DV, situation with someone you think you love and being abused like that, it's horrific. And so whatever she needs to do to cope and whatever she needs, I respect her decision. But I would be lying if I wasn't disappointed that he won't be facing that, that prosecutors decided not to go forward with any kind of charges or something. Naomi says, I heard he just grabbed her arm in this instance. Whether he grabbed her arm, whether he threw her in the room, whatever, keep your fucking hands to yourself, James Kennedy. Okay. You now have Rachel Raquel making, claims. You have Kristen Doty making claims. And now you have this arrest where your girlfriend at the time, Allie, admitted to police that you did do something to her and it's in the police report. So shit is going on. All right. I don't care. You keep your hands to yourself, sir. You have shown us on television that you don't have self-control. And it's just sickening. Dog Mom Laura says, oh my God, he's getting off with no consequences. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like, man, this 2025 is just, it's hitting. It is hitting in ways, it's January 23rd. And I'm just like, I saw someone post like, is the month of January supposed to be 12 months long? Because it feels like that. Mm-hmm. Look at Prince. He's like, she doesn't want me sitting on the thing, so I'm just going to go down under in the table. Good for you, Princey. Good for you. Shirley says, it's sad that James is getting off again with no consequences. Again. DV's never okay. Never. Zero excuses. HC says, zero excuses to put your paws on other people. Yeah. Put your paws on other people or put your paws on your animals. Yes, we saw him spit right at Kristen on her door. Like we've seen the things he says about women. And, there's only so long you can hide behind, he's got substance abuse issues. Well, you know what? There's only so long until it's like, when are you going to fix it? And that is not an excuse. It's just not, Dog Mom Laura, thank you for the first super chat of the live. It says, thank you, Jolene. Hanging with the pup in 10 degrees in Chicago. Stay warm. Hopefully you have just the heat turned up or like a really comfy throw blanket, a big comforter or something, or a fireplace. If I ever move back to the Midwest, I gotta make sure I live somewhere with a fireplace. I just love sitting by a fireplace when it's cold. Swish says the legal system does not protect us. And this just, again, unfortunately, it kind of reiterates that to women, that in so many ways, it doesn't protect us. And in so many ways, we hear more about, will James be okay? James is losing jobs. Well, poor James needs help. Well, poor James's childhood. But really, I can't be worried about James. There are too many women out there who are going into situations like this with monsters, allegedly, I have to say, like James, who don't deserve this and don't deserve just because he has unprocessed childhood trauma or he has whatever. As a, recovering alcoholic myself and someone who's been sober for a very long time, I can't put all of my behavior and things on that one thing, especially when I'm not even willing to really change it, So Pamela says maybe he'll learn his lesson. I hope so. I really do, because I think a lot of us are sick of this and we're sick of seeing this. And I don't want to see him on another Bravo show. I don't give up about James Kennedy or some kind of, like redemption arc, or no, thank you. No, thank you. I do not need to see it. Dog Mom Laura says, I can't believe he still has so many followers. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, especially like people covering the shows, you kind of follow those people. I'm sure I'm still technically, I'm following him so I can see his stories and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately it's, I'm going to actually do that right now. Unfollow James Kennedy, because make sure I'm not following him. It's really unfortunate to see him and see men like this get away with just, again, a little on the hand, a little, slap on the hand. No, don't hit the ladies. Don't do that. And it's like, I'm so over that. Okay, let me unfollow his ass. I'll have to see what he does or not. Who cares? Okay. But yeah, let's see how many followers he still has. And, the thing is, he'll still get work. He'll still do the damn thing. He'll still make lots of money. Yeah, he has 1 million followers. He'll still get these DJ gigs, but hopefully Bravo decides not to give him a platform any longer. Where is Hippie? Swish says. Well, Hippie is with James. I now wish Hippie wasn't with James, wasn't with Rachel Raquel. Too bad he can't go with Allie. But you know what? Allie's got to worry about herself and taking care of herself. So I hope that Hippie's okay, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. Irene says, I'd like to see James get help and thrive. I actually like him when he's behaving. He makes me laugh. Well, a lot of people I get it. I am being very harsh right now. But I'll make you laugh and I won't hit you or hit other women. You know what I mean? There's lots of people out there that can make us laugh who don't have these kind of issues where they treat women like shit. And that's not a judgment on you, Irene. I get what you're saying. And I'm recognizing that I'm being very harsh on him, but I feel like people have to, because we're just like, he's charming. He's this. No, he's an asshole. He's doing asshole things. And until he can prove that he's a changed person, not just go through the motions, not just post on social media, but really change and want to be better, I don't really care around him. Like, we've given you so many chances, bro. So many damn chances. And people have really stuck by James, whether it be fans or some cast members, and did hope for the best. And now I'm just really over it. But I understand that, not everyone is going to feel, what I feel. And again, you're welcome to sound off in the chat, your opinions on this. So let's see if the E-News story has anything more. She did say, okay, so the astrologer, she never desired filing criminal charges against James. They're no longer together. We saw that. This is the first time. James, the 32-year-old, has not publicly spoken out about his split with Allie. However, his attorney said earlier on January 22nd, which is just yesterday, that James is continuing to focus on his sobriety and his DJ career. Oh, Jesus. I feel it, but saying that means you just want to put that out into the universe so people still book you for DJ gigs. That should be the least of your worries right now, bro. When you have so many issues and you're out here allegedly abusing women, your winga should be the least of your worries. Let's see. Okay. After prosecution declined to move forward with his case, There were no grounds for any charges to be filed against Mr. Kennedy, his lawyer shared in a statement to E! News, adding that the DJ is grateful to have this matter behind him. Well, that's great, James, but the women that you've affected, they'll forever carry this with them. And I hope you realize that. I hope you take this seriously, that this isn't just reality TV bullshit. You're hurting real people and their lives, and you're affecting the way they love going forward. I just fucking hate this guy. I can't be. You guys know I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. I'm over it. I'm over fucked up dude abusers. Like, shut up. I don't care about your DJ career. I don't care about you. You're lucky you were privileged enough to have the things you had and the career you had. And it was thanks to women like me and everyone here who watched Bravo. Okay. On December 10th, we know there was a DV incident. A week after his arrest, James vowed to focus on his sobriety, personal growth, and being present for loved ones. Okay. And don't mention the freaking DJ. I am committed to making meaningful changes in my life, he wrote on his Instagram story. Heard it before. Navigating challenging moments is not easy, but I am determined to learn, grow, and move forward with incredible support system around me. Okay. And then it just talks about this with, I don't know why they're bringing up Sheena and Eddie Cibrian. I guess they're like, hey, do you want to know how Vanderpump Rules started? And we're like, not really. We know. We already know. USA Today, I mean, everyone is talking about this. But yeah, unfortunately, no charges. No charges. Lexi says legal consequences are behind him. Jess says, yeah, I bet he's thrilled to have this behind him because he had no consequences. None whatsoever. Brian Scott Patterson says, as an Angelino, James, stop pushing buttons as a job. Brian says, get a real job. No. Ginger says he does have a mortgage to pay and a family that depends on his money. Well, there are bigger issues right now than, for him. I get what you're saying. Yeah. But, he really needs to focus on this because this has been a detriment to him for a long time. The drinking and the, way he treats women. Kristen said, how is it behind him? Well, because it's easy when you have, just like people are saying in the chat, good point, Kristen, to just put it behind you when everyone's just going to go see and then watch the narrative change going forward, where it's like, oh, it was blown out of proportion. Even Allie didn't want him charged. Even so her kindness or her fear or whatever her reasoning is to not want charges on him will be spun into and used so that people can be pro James and that James can still be a celebrity. Watch the narrative change. It happens all the time. Like, oh, it was such a misunderstanding. Big lies, huge, the hugest lies. People just lie. You know how women lie. They're such liars. Yeah, and the police had it out for me. And no, it was a misunderstanding. Valitan says, don't think you're being harsh at all, Jolene. Thank you, Valitan. It seems like sometimes when I look at what other people are saying, I'm like, what? I mean, he says, oh no, not the DJ career. Yeah, like, get to rehab, get to therapy, figure this shit out. You're too old now. You're 32, bro. Get it together. HC says, I had to take, we'll say, because I think YouTube will be like, you can't say that word. A friend from a violent relationship. She couldn't leave. She was brainwashed. She thanked me, but it wasn't easy. I am so happy you were able to do that. That must have been so scary for both of you. And yeah, the brainwashing, all of that stuff. If anyone has ever been in a situation like this or loved someone who was in a DV abuse situation, that's like textbook is what they do, is kind of get you on your own and separate you. I have a family member I was so close to who was taken away from us. She's still alive, but taken away from us, a long time ago by an abusive husband. And that, it's the worst. It's the worst to know that there's nothing you can do to convince that person that they deserve so much more. They're better. This person's an asshole, because the brainwashing, the abuse is just years and years and years of this. And I saw firsthand at a very young age what abusive men will do. and what their tactics are and how they gain control and how they are able to, it's amazing that they all pretty much have this like textbook way of doing it, where they want to separate you from anyone you trust, anyone could have any kind of impact or impression on you. They want to vilify them. And then slowly but surely, and sometimes quickly, they, pull them away, isolate them. They beat them down enough, whether literally or figuratively with words or, violence. And they, it's the worst. And then before you know it, you're the one that's not talking to that person, refuses to talk to you anymore. And there's just so little you can do. And how many families have been ripped apart by that, and how many women are stuck in these situations, So I just have very little empathy when it comes to these men, obviously, who clearly don't want to change and are not getting any consequences, not even a slap on the wrist. And now they can completely change the narrative to, no, it was a misunderstanding, or, we were both violent, or things like that. And it happens all the time. Lena Bass says, we're reinforcing and normalizing DV with this bloke. Exactly. We really are. We're normalizing it and saying, well, he's had his parents were hard on him and he drinks. It's like, I don't go. Like, what about Allie? Do we ever talk about the people that are in the situation, what they went through to get to this point, or what they're going through right now, or the empathy for them, and less for James Kennedy? Tracy M says, look, after the USA decided to elect a convicted sexual assaulter as their president, I lost faith in society to hold men accountable. Yeah. So that's why I feel like it's so important and it sucks that it always falls on women, and also our male allies, men in the chat that are not monsters and realize that this is, not how you behave, which I know there's a lot of men out there. It then falls on us to speak up and be like, no, this is fucking wrong. And this is messed up. And I don't care about his celebrity. I don't care about what television show he's on. I don't give a shit, But yeah, I agree with you, Tracy M, 100%. Anna says, I'm happy she left. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Allie for how she handled it. Exactly. I'm sure she's doing the best she can in a traumatic situation. 100%. All the things going on in her head, all the things she might fear, or it's just, Allie doesn't deserve this. She'll never deserve this. And this situation and how she has to navigate it is going to be up to her. But I wish the state or the city of Burbank or whatever would step in, and prosecutors, and find a way. There's got to be something, but I'm sure, who knows? Again, I wish these are the times I wish I went to law school and I was like Emily D. Baker smart. So I could be like, well, it's probably because, they didn't have any physical evidence. And then maybe they couldn't, they'd have to get Allie to testify, which is so shitty because you've already been through so much if you're already in this situation. And then on top of it, they're like, we need you to stand up in front of everyone and explain exactly what happened and put it out there for everyone to report on in the media and stuff. And then people to pick you apart. And some people will say you deserved it, or why did you stay so long, or why did it take so long? And they'll question you till the cows come home. But if you could do that, that'd be great. So I don't blame women who are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Yeah, his show is canceled, thankfully. But look at Jax. We thought he'd be gone. And there's that, verbally abusive bloke just running amok, with the booga sugar, running amok, even though it's crazy. We have women, Kristen, Brittany, Jax himself admitting that he is a verbally abusive prick. And they're like, let's keep him on the show. Let's keep him on the show. Yeah, abusers get enough empathy. They really do. They get enough empathy. They're good. I would argue they get too much empathy. So they just keep abusing rather than calling their asses out and being like, no love for you. April says we need to stand for each other. Not all men are bad, obviously. The slap on the wrist is only promoting this behavior. Yes. Thank you. Silly Goose says, sure. Why would she when it's been over and over, and those show producers and cameramen definitely saw it? You cannot tell me that things weren't seen through the years. Even freaking the liar-ass Tom Sandoval talked about James Kennedy doing stuff, but he didn't do it in a noble way to save women from James Kennedy's wrath. He did it to get the heat off of him. So we were like, shut up, Tom. But it's not like it doesn't exist, and there haven't been many women before that have made accusations against him. Not paid by anyone says maybe they will take action when someone is unalived. Yeah, or they'll go, I can't believe it. Well, no, I can believe it, because the situation that you're creating right now by not holding this man accountable or having him have any consequences, that's where it's headed. So then don't be surprised when that happens. Jim says the irony of Jax of all people being the one to get another chance. I know. Oh my gosh. Mtronic says Lisa has the worst taste in men. She's a supporter of all these dudes. HC says literally hyper ass demons out there getting sympathy. Hyper ass demons. Cami says a lot of victim blaming happens with so much misogyny. Yeah. All these man babies need to grow up. Yes, Kiki Kazoo, I agree. Tracy M says the world saw it. We've seen these boys be abusive to every one of those girls on the show. And it was tolerated, and the girls were made fun of for it. The girls were painted as difficult, bitchy, drunk, possessive, crazy. And the men, what were they painted as, you guys? Guys will be guys. They're guying. They're just doing guy stuff. That's there. Come on. Just guys. Elle says it's sad the burden of proof is placed on the victim, and especially the way the victims are treated. Angela Clark Little says, I had a similar situation happen to me in December. I called the police, but didn't want to press charges because I didn't want to ruin his life or career. It's hard when you're in that situation. Yeah. And I think that it's sad that much pressure sits on a victim or a person who has done nothing wrong, but just wants to report someone who is abusive. And I think it's been so ingrained in us to be like, well, because it's like in this, I really feel like in society, we're not afraid. People aren't afraid of women getting abused or hurt. Clearly, they're not even, they just want to control our bodies, which we clearly see happening. And then they put it under the guise of being pro-life, but not our life. They just want to control. It's all about control, which we know, and so it's crazy to me that we're more worried in society. I hear more about like, but what if it's a false allegation? It ruins that man's life. Well, what if it's the truth? Which 98% of the time it is the truth. So let's stop pushing forth the narrative that women lie and start pushing forth the narrative that this could be true. So let's go with that, because statistically you will see that there are far less women who would ever make up anything like this than there are men who do this shit. But we're told, and it makes you like cuckoo in the brain, because we're told like, you could ruin that man's life, that poor innocent man. What about all these women? They're like, fuck her. I mean, I don't know, but you better be careful, because you could ruin that man's life. So then it kind of sits with us, so I understand your reaction there, Angela, because you're just like, well, I don't want to ruin someone's life. And it's almost like we're the inconvenience for being abused or mistreated. No. And it's crazy the way that has caught on. And I hear people come at me all the time about that, just like, oh, what about the men that are innocent? Or like what percentage is that? Because I don't really hear a lot about that. I know that's the big fear, that these lasers out here lying, just lying and lying, that the majority are just, I just can't wait to put a false charge on him. Like, no, no. I was just, thank you for acknowledging not all men. Well, didn't they have that hashtag for a while? Like hashtag not all men. And it's like, no man should ever be offended by women talking about this or talking about, choosing the bear, because unless you are someone who would do that, then no one's talking about you. We're only talking about you if you're the type of guy that does that kind of stuff, and we're well aware there are a lot of men who don't behave this way. And unfortunately, it's just going to take more like awareness and more exposure so that good guys like you, Adam, and I'm not saying you don't already do this, but you hold your fellow men accountable, that you too look for this in your friendships and stuff and call this shit out if you see men behaving this way in your life, and not just to someone you love or care about, because it could be a friend of yours and you could have a girlfriend. You might not even like the girlfriend, you know? So that's and one of my favorite quotes I saw recently, it's like, women don't need protection from men. They need men to stop being the thing we need protection from. Like we don't need you to follow us around and protect us. We need you to stop assaulting us. We need you to just stop being the thing that we needed protection from. But it definitely does help when for lack of a better term, the good guys step forward and call their friends out from a young age, when you see this kind of behavior. To check the men. Jim says, hashtag not all men, hashtag not a bear. Yeah. I mean, Jim, I would argue to say some men would even say they would choose a bear over being stuck with another man. Yeah. Yeah, the big false claims. Kristen said the courts are due process, always going to pick the bear in the woods. Lenny says this is reportable to Adult Protective Services. Why hasn't this happened? What's reportable to Adult Protective Services? Sorry, I'm like, what? James's? Janice says if Gina from OC hadn't pressed charges against her husband, the DV would have continued. It did affect his life, but ultimately he understood. Yeah, and it seems like, hopefully, knock on all the wood, wherever I have wood, that positive change, that he was able to make a positive change. Him and Gina are now able to co-parent. He's remarried. I hope to God that that is something he never does again and does not do to his new wife. And I remember watching that go down on Orange County, Janice. Thank you for bringing that up. And when you do things like this, it should affect your life. When you behave like this, that should affect your life. Those are called consequences. I know sometimes we're told that no, he's learned enough. He's been through so much. Yeah, all that hitting women and scaring them and yelling at them and getting in their face must be real hard for him. Must be real hard. Michelle says he needs to grow up now, not tomorrow, not the day after, but now. And forget the psychedelic. Yes, tropical getaway treatment. You can't shep it. You can't take that ayahuasca until you shit yourself and see crazy stuff and think you're going to get better. Or Jesse from the Valley. Go get real treatment in a facility. Learn something. If you want to mix the two, fine, but you need some legit treatment. You can't just do another drug. Evelyn says, U.S. society is steeped in misogyny and racism, and so many just don't want to see it. And it really makes no sense why people just don't recognize that. Because the sooner we recognize it and deal with it and fix the system in which it exists in, the sooner we're getting out of it. We're moving forward, bro. But people really think if we talk about it, it is somehow villainizing white people or men. And if we talk about it, it's just like critical race theory. You literally, the name sucks, okay? Because, people want to take it and turn it into kind of like the defund the police. That was a horrible name too. Whoever did the marketing on that, bad, because people are like, you can't give the police no money. It's like, no, it's about reallocating funds. Okay, never mind. The same thing is true with critical race theory. It's literally teaching U.S. history and how we got here and how this country was founded. And people are like, no, you're making the white kids feel bad. You can't make the white kids feel bad. They could cry. They could have, what are you upsetting the white kids for? And you're like, what? But I think people hear critical race theory. And if you ask people who are like, I hate critical race theory, they won't even know what critical race theory is. They don't even know what in fact they're teaching. They're just like, doesn't sound good. It sounds critical and probably critical of the whites. So things need like a name, maybe just like, the founding of American history, soft founding of American history or something. I don't know, but it just needs a better freaking title. And And if the white kids cry, good. Because growing up, when I learned about the origins of, in history and the things I learned about slavery and the things I learned about World War II, those things stayed with me as a kid, and they did make me cry, and they affected me in such a way because it should, because it's fucked up. And having that effect and knowing and keeping it in, I shouldn't do it like this, but keeping that in, keeping learning our history will prevent us from repeating it. Like, it's not that difficult of a concept. No one's trying to change your kid's gender. They're at school. They're literally just trying to teach them the history of the United States, the things that really happened. Not this. And then Columbus came over, and then he met up with an Native American. You know how the wokes are. Okay, they met up with a Native American, and they had a little bit of turkeys, and they were like, "Would you like some land?" And he was like, "I would." Even though they lived there already, Columbus founded it, really. And then they sat down, and then ever since then, Native Americans have just loved us, and we've just breaking bread, just sweet potato casserole. They want to it's like, that's not how it went down. I don't think there's anything wrong with learning actual history. But again, if we don't learn these things, we're bound to repeat them. And the same way with the James Kennedy situation, until he learns from this and has consequences, he's bound to repeat it. But we're so worried about protecting, not the wokes. Don't get the wokes woken up, because you want the wokes back to sleepish. They're evil. The wokes are very evil. Stacy Ann says critical race theory is literally a first-year law school class. Well, you bet. Don't tell Texas. Not all Texas, but don't tell Texas legislators. Next you're going to tell me it's taught by a drag queen, and then I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Don't tell me Bob the drag queen's teaching it, because I'll sign up for that class tomorrow. Tracy says the whole critical race theory thing is when I realized how bad American. Yeah, it is. Because people are just believing that must be this horrible thing where you sit in class, okay, and my kid's not going to go in there and you say white is bad. You being white is bad. That's horrible. You're a bad person. It's your fault. I think that's what they think it is. But you guys remember history class, right? You remember I'm 44 years old, but I remember sitting in history class, learning about slavery, learning about World War II, learning about genocide, learning about these atrocities that happened in history. And I never thought, oh God, I hate myself. I remember thinking, honestly, and I was talking to my husband, Chell, about this. I remember thinking how lucky I felt, how sad I was. And when you read the Diary of Anne Frank, and how sad I was that happened to people, but how lucky I felt that I was a part of a time where now that was in the past and we were looking toward progress. Even watching the I Have a Dream speech and knowing that was, when my parents were children, and being so happy and feeling lucky that I seemed to be, naively as a child, headed in a more progressive way. And it just taught me, it added to me having empathy for people and understanding that, getting to know people, and how, diversity and inclusion, all those things are really fantastic, wokey shit, but it shouldn't be, because it really does create an understanding. If you live in a neighborhood where you never have to interact with a certain type of person, you're most likely not going to give a shit about what happens to those certain kind of people. But if they're your neighbors, your friends, your husbands, your wives, if you learn about them as a culture, you develop empathy, you develop understanding. And then as human beings, naturally, then we give a fuck about our neighbors, which is actually, if we want to get into the Christian fundamentalist type, that's actually what Jesus said to do. Jesus didn't say, better be good to that religion, better be good to that church. He said, be good to your neighbor. And it's crazy how that's gotten lost by so many. It's literally insane. Whoever Shane is, insane. Jim says, I don't get how learning about the country's history is bad. Right? No. When we start pretending it didn't happen or rewriting it, that is when it is bound to happen again. History will repeat itself. So you have to ask, why are the powers that be so afraid of us knowing facts about what we were taught as kids? Why can kids not be taught what we were taught? And maybe even a little more, because now we have a greater understanding, because maybe even things they weren't fully telling us about, like who doesn't that benefit and why? Whisker says, I attend a public university in Florida. It's interesting, LOL. Whisker Justice Warrior, write a bug about that shit. Hashtag not all Texas too. Not all men, not all Texas, not all conservatives. Okay. I think the term just needs to go away. Like, because they've been able to successfully villainize wokeness. Like, we're out there going, hey, don't say that. Don't you say that. Don't you? You have to, no. But then these are, and this is said by the same people that are like, we're now going to call it the Gulf of America. But you said you guys were saying how hard it is to like change your name and recognize people's genders, but now you're going to just like rename shit. Now the words are important. That's so interesting. Janice says, To Kill a Mockingbird removed from circulation by Governor DeSantis because it's too negative. Well, it's because there's too many drag queens in it. The book is full of drag queens. I'm sure that's what they've told people. Tracy says, Jim, what do you think woke means exactly? Just being able to think. HC says they swapped truffle mac and cheese recipes on. Yes, they were like, have you tried this mac and cheese? And the Native Americans were like, we haven't. And Columbus and his fellows were like, you should. And then they hugged and they cuddled. And they just had a little kiki girl talk. And then, yeah. But, and, they're like, no, Columbus was a great guy. But if maybe we need to start putting out, misinformation and propaganda and start saying, well, I don't think you know the whole story of Christopher Columbus. His pronouns were they, them. Yep. He was non-binary and he was trying to turn all of the Native Americans trans. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys still want your Columbus statues up, but he was very pro-trans, very much so. Tracy, I'm calling me out. I didn't even know when I put up Tracy's comment that she was calling you out. Wokeness is now akin to hall monitors. Yeah, I think that's what they've turned it into. The Gulf of America. I was like, I don't want to swim in the Gulf of America. That sounds man-made. Man-made. Janice said the slavery history can be viewed as a teachable moment. The whole world tucked on those days, not on America tucked. Yes. I'm just waiting for some Janet. Melissa says, I thought that all the time, how lucky I was to be born. Yes, that's how I felt, Melissa, to be born after civil rights legislation, or I would have never made it out of my 20s because I would have absolutely be out there marching. And I used to remember when you would see, that they would show you like those, like adults, like white adults, like white Americans who were out there, like literally screaming at children, trying to go to schools once they, once they desegregated them. And they were like so mad that these little Black kids wanted to go get an education. I was thinking, who are those people? Like, you're forever in the history book, like being ashamed of them. And now looking at things that are happening, you're like, oh, some of these people are going to see themselves in a history book or on a wiki down the road with some of the behavior. Like, I didn't think that, we would see it this blatantly or even like this again. Not when I was a kid, you just, as a kid, you think, well, that's history. And I always thought history is history for a reason, because it's our past and we learn and we move forward and we progress. That's why progress, I've never taken that. If someone's like, you're too progressive, I'm like, oh, that's progressive. I think that's a good term, right? Did you talk about that wonderful bishop? No, but I have the video and I do want to talk about. You guys want to talk about the bishop? All right, we're talking about the bishop. That was so good. So good. She was so fucking fantastic. So if you guys don't know, there was a bishop who pleaded with Trump during a service she was leading, and basically just pleading with him to show empathy. And it was so great because he was stuck there and he couldn't speak up and he couldn't yell out like he normally does, because he's convinced people that he loves the Lord. Even though if anyone has followed Donald Trump or his career, you know that this is most certainly, God is not, he has tricked the Christians. He has infiltrated the Christian right to get their vote. But really, the man, I mean, look at the history. Did we ever see him get rebaptized in a tub or even in a pool like Tamara Judge? Until I see that and him actually able to quote the Bible, name some books of the Bible. Come on, guy, come on. So this bishop pleaded with him, and let's watch it here. Yellow Valley. All right, we have let me share the screen here. Okay, and she was just magic, and it's everything. Anyone who says they voted for him because they are Christian or because of their faith in God, there should be no pushback on this. It literally, there's your Bible. There's your, if we're going to be this theocracy, here's what Jesus actually would say, would do. Here's someone who devoted their life to God and Christianity, pleading with Donald Trump. It was so good to hear. Fearless. The Trumpster said she was the worst. A woman who's dedicated her life to the Lord and being empathetic and understanding people. She's the worst. Someone who's not allowing billionaires to hoard money and hoarding money herself and profiting off of being the leader of the country. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Give me a thumbs up in the chat as soon as you guys can hear this wonderful woman speak the truth of all truths. All right.
I ask you to have.
Who the hell put music behind this?
I ask you.
No, we're not doing music behind this. This lady does not need music behind her. Hold, please. We will find a I think I texted to myself a link that had the full thing because, I mean, how nice that you put music behind it. Need it. And the fact that he was stuck and watch. Well, we got to roast this shit. We got to roast this shit. Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus. Okay, here we go. I might be stopping for commentary. FYI, you guys. Love you all. Hit that like.
Let me make one final plea. Mr. President, in the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants. The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Oh, that's gonna hurt! At the end of my video yesterday, I referenced.
Oh, I thought this was a full one. This shout out to this Midas Touch guy. I think that's his name. But if you look at, they look like so confused. JD Vance, there's a point where JD Vance looks over at Trump like, and then we got the Trump kids in the back like, oh shit, he's not gonna like this. Tiffany Trump especially was like, oh, he's not gonna like this. I don't know who's next to her, if it's Tiffany's husband or her boyfriend, but let me try to find one that doesn't already have commentary on it. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I'll put in full video. And they just look like, oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see if, no, I don't. Well, Democracy Now! Won't play the whole thing. Is it this one? Let's see. Let me see, you guys. There was one that had a side-by-side. Or her saying it and then his reaction as well. And that one was very, very good. All right, let's see if this one. That like if you haven't already, 243 here. Let's see if we can get 300 likes. Oh, CNN. No, I want the full video, brah. Give me the full thing. Side by side. Okay, maybe Forbes did it. This one's sound stinks. All right. Maybe this one? Okay, got it. Got one. I think that is 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That is the whole thing. All right. Thanks for your patience, you guys. She's just such a little hero, this lady. Okay. Here we go. Starting over.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people.
Lara Trump is like, if you see her like right behind Melania and right ahead of Don Jr., she's like,
Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches.
Dance's ass looking over at him like, should I do something? You're not gonna do nothing. Go tell your mommy's story again.
Majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes
Watch JD Vance
and are good neighbors.
Trump can't even make eye contact. He's so mad.
They are faithful.
JD Vance is like, just watching them. Everybody knows that this must be the worst thing to do to Trump, is to trap him in a situation where, like, one of the few situations where he won't just stand up and be like, F this, it's over. Melania looks like a statue. Melania is just waiting to get out of this thing. She is just like, I cannot wait to leave this marriage. Look at him.
Full members of our churches and mosques.
Look at even Tiffany. I don't know if it's Tiffany's husband or boyfriend that's next to Tiffany Trump, right behind JD Vance. And then next to Tiffany, her boyfriend, he keeps looking over like, oh God, I bet she's not gonna, he's always gonna be throwing stuff with those little baby hands, gonna be throwing stuff around the White House. Oh crap. Good thing Tiffany's only allowed to be in the White House certain hours during the day, not like the daughter he loves the most, who can stay there all day.
Synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger.
That is what they teach.
For we were all once strangers in this land.
Boom, yakasha. We were all once strangers in this land. Oh shit. Not only did she say we're all immigrants, but she also said they pay taxes. The vast majority aren't criminals and they pay taxes. That directly goes against the false rhetoric that his party and his MAGA has been pushing out, that they're all leeches and they are they're not human. That's why we don't call them undocumented. We call them illegals, because they're illegal. They're illegal humans. And she was like, nah, bitch, they pay taxes. And you were all once immigrants.
May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world.
Tiffany's looking over, because Tiffany feels like an illegal immigrant in that family. The affair with Marla Maples that she was a product of. you know, she's always felt like, do I fit in? Am I here? He doesn't try to hit on her like he does the other sister. So it's, you know, she's always felt like, you know, she's still technically undocumented. Did they ever get the Melania thing taken care of? Because wasn't Melania also brought here illegally? Didn't she come in? Were they going to get that fixed? Maybe now as the first lady? I don't know. Hopefully they've fixed that. But you know, Tiffany gets it. Tiffany's like, oh shit, I understand what it feels like to feel like you don't belong. Okay.
The world.
Even her boyfriend's like, ugh, he literally just did this.
Amen.
God, this lady is beautiful. She's just said everything and it's just all true to the Christian faith. Everything she said, you know, having grace and empathy and all the things. And he's like, no, this directly goes. Yes. Do I take advantage of the, you know, do I push for a theocracy? And that's why I have, you know, JD Vance here. And do I, you know, say, you know, kiss ass to the Christian right? Well, yeah, I need their vote. But no, I don't believe any of this shit, you know, but he knows he has to sit there and kind of play nice and pretend he actually goes to church when he don't. And you don't have to, but then don't pretend that you do. I mean, at the inauguration, he mentioned God one time, I think, maybe twice or something. He said something about not forget about God. And people were like, oh my God, that's beautiful. I'm like, but what about the rest of the stuff? Because all that rest of the stuff definitely forgets about a God, if that's what we're worried about. But man, he looks pissed. Oh God, I just like to just watch it. I really like.
I ask you.
Just seeing a woman be able to have this power over him, a woman truly of the cloth, a woman who isn't just a fake Christian for vote, someone who can't be bought and sold, someone who literally has dedicated herself to the Lord, to the message, to Jesus Christ. With these sinners on the Project 2025, oh my God, it's too good.
To have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
He's like, and they should be. Mass deportation, scared.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in.
Oh, don't say that. There's only 2 genders now. And technically, I love that people are pointing out that technically we're all female because they said at conception. And that's science. Don't say they're going to be like, she's a transgender drag queen. She's not even a real, have they come out and said she's not even a real pastor. She's just trans. After this, she took off her cloak and she twerked. Let's make up some lies.
In Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear.
She basically was like, you got gay kids. Someone in your family gay. That's what she just said. She was like, you got gay kids. So just so you know, everyone, they're everywhere. All right. You're not going to get rid of LGBTQIA community. You're probably looking at one right now and he's in the mirror or something, you know?
Fear for their lives.
JD Vance is like, damn it. Those drag queens are very sexy. That's why we're trying to ban them. Because they're just very sexy.
And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants.
None of those people have ever washed any dishes, except for Tiffany. Tiffany's probably been forced to wash dishes a few times. Yep.
And work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the.
He's so mad.
Proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes.
What is this silly talk she's saying? What do you mean? I thought they were all the evil villains. Come on. What are you talking about?
And are good neighbors. They are faithful members.
And then JD Vance. All scared looking over, right? So like this is JD Vance is like, oh no, oh no. Fear hates love. Peaches. Say it louder. Say it louder. You know, Tiffany, they made her do dishes. They were like, Tiffany, you don't belong here. And she's like, okay. Tiffany has never even seen her birth certificate yet, allegedly. Okay. Because they're like, you haven't earned it yet. Okay. You're not sexy enough. He likes his daughter sexy. He told us. All right.
Members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, Wadara.
Oh, Laura Trump. She's pissed. She's like, I'm gonna have to hear about this. She is pissed.
and temples.
She's a tall sitting woman too. Very tall. She's like Baron Trump tall.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities
You know, Ivanka, she's like, oh, mercy. No, we don't really do that.
whose children fear that their
I asked him to have mercy on me and stop touching my waist and making creepy comments, but you know, here we are.
parents will be taken away. And that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands.
Oh, Don Jr. says, I'm not high enough for this. There is not enough cocaine to get me to sit through this shit.
To find compassion.
I think JD just shit his pants. That is a shit your pants face that man is making right there. And Melania hasn't changed.
And welcome here.
Just looking straight ahead. And you think she's looking angrily. She's happy. She loves this woman. She's like, thank you for calling on my husband. I hate him.
Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger. For we will all once
To the stranger. And Trump's like, yeah, I heard of it. When you sit on your hand, you wait for it to go numb, and then you pleasure yourself. Is that the one you're talking about? I know about that stranger. What? No, you're talking about an immigrant? No. Hate that. But I do like the stranger where you sit on your hand, you wait for it to go. You know, you can't feel it, and then it feels like there's a stranger. You know, I don't, you know, then sometimes it's like, am I holding on to my member because, you know, it's, you can't feel anything. But you know what I'm saying. I like that stranger.
strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being. To speak.
Don's like, can I get a bump? He's asking that guy. I don't know if that's Eric Trump and they just cut off his head to do us a favor. I'm not sure what's going on there, but he's definitely like asking. He's like, I should have brought Jax Taylor, get a little key bump, what we learned about yesterday.
Speak the truth
Allegedly.
to one another in love and walk humbly with each other and our God.
Sounds
For
nice.
the good of all people. Good of all people in this nation.
Katie Vance is like, my eyeliner is and my mascara are not gonna. She's talking too much. They're already starting to melt. I might be crying. You can see his mascara and his eyeliner kind of running there. Poor guy.
And the world.
And the world. Amen.
Amen.
They didn't say amen. I don't think they liked that one. What do you guys think? I don't think they liked it. Now they're kind of laughing. Trump's like, how dare she? How dare a woman say this to me? Oh God, that was so good. That lady, that's one of the few great things to come out since the inauguration, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. DGF said the Wolfian system divides into reproductive systems for male or female with variations unrelated to societal gender identities, hormones, and genes, or something. Getting science-y. Stacy says, I feel like I should pay a cover charge because this is a true comedy show. I love you so much. Well, we'll do more of this stuff. We'll do more roasting and stuff. I think at this point, this channel really is about pop culture, roasting, comedy. You know, we talk about things, we have discussions about things, but we also take a look at a lot of toxic men and kind of break that shit down, roast it up. And we have two of the most toxic men right now sitting in the White House. And that's not even including, you know, Trump and JD Vance. That's Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. So yeah, I mean, this stuff, we got to be able to have a laugh. We got to be able to laugh at this shit because there is nothing I respect about anything going on over there. Nothing. Brian says everyone in that photo lower video looks like extras in Succession. It is. It's Succession come to life. However, the Succession characters were actually somewhat likable and attractive. Something that the Trumps lack. Lay says, I'm going to need you to commit to commentary like this at any time Trump has a news conference. I'll do it. I'll totally do it. I think, you know, and I understand that there's people that are going to be like, I don't like that, you know, and if that's not your thing, then that's not the thing to tune in for. But I can't edit myself and my comedy to, for what? What's the point? Like, this is the world we live in now. This is where we're going. And we got to have a laugh. Lazy Buddha says that bottom shot is a collection of the least compassionate people I've ever seen. JD literally shit his pants. That man would be nothing without running on a woman's story. First, it was his mama. He's a regular Tom Sandoval. And now it's his wife. If you notice, people don't have the greatest things to say about JD Vance, but they're like, love his wife. She's great. Because she does. She looks fantastic. She's probably a million times smarter than him. So he literally has to ride on the coattails of women, which is, what he's done. Basically, his entire career. Kitty said the funniest thing I've seen about the gender thing was someone retweeting, oh my God, yes, Caitlyn Jenner, self-awareness, sweetheart, saying, Trump, congratulations, I'm so happy. And it's like, girl, he's calling you Bruce again. He literally just signed something that said there are two genders. You say you're a woman now, and they said you are the gender, not that you're born with, you're the gender. What were the exact wording was at conception. Well, so technically, yeah, you still are Caitlyn if they don't change that definition to fit science. But you know what they really mean is they mean they'll be dead naming you again. It is baffling, Caitlyn's complete lack of awareness. She gives zero shits about anyone that isn't herself. She gives zero shits about trans people, the community in which she wants to claim when she wants a reality show, but really she's like, poo, I want a tax break or whatever she's thinking. But those people, they don't like you. They don't believe that what you are is what you are. So good luck with that, Kayla. Yeah, dumb. Jolene, my father used to get real triggered regarding trans women, the things I found in his belongings after he passed. He was definitely loving the trans ladies that's the thing. That's the sad thing is you see this so often. There was, it still happens, but there was a time when it seemed like every pastor who would be very vocal, very anti-gay, like you had there was a guy in Colorado Springs, these pastors of these big churches who were just like gay is wrong. And then you'd see him and his wife and they were just like, straight sex is the best sex. And you're like, that doesn't even sound right. I don't even know if I believe you're having sex. And then you find out that he's been doing meth off a gay prostitute's ass in a motel. And then we're like, what? So it tends to be the people who are very concerned with someone's bedroom behavior. Either they're jealous because that's what they really want to do, but they can't do it in their bedroom. So it's like that, closet case. And that's probably, that's unfortunately, that is a lot of times what's happening is the people who are, because you're like, how does that affect you so much? Oh, it gives you boners, angry boners, and you don't want to get boners about it because you have this shame about you. But really, if the pastor had just, maybe cut the meth out, but still, had a gentleman friend in a motel and just, divorced his wife, they'd be happier. I remember watching a PBS documentary about these guys that were like super, because their religion leads them down paths to believe that it's wrong. Who they love is wrong. So they have to fight and they got to, hold on to these, the tits of the women they're married to, even though they're not interested in her tits or their tits. So they had all these guys that were just like, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad to, be gay and I love my wife and it's the straightest sex. And well, I did have relations with a guy before. So you'd have these guys who then were trying to like pray the gay away. Remember those movements where people like, I don't think that's how it works. But then they would, my favorite thing about this documentary is these men convinced their wives, they were like, you know what I got to do to not be so gay? You know what I got to do so that I don't want a penis in my mouth? Let me tell you, sweetie, I got to go to a camp with a bunch of other dudes out in the woods, no cameras, okay? Hang out. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I think I got to be with other dudes who have had wieners in their mouths or hands, and I got to hang out with them. We got to talk about it. And they would have these exercises. One of them was like, how you do the like falling exercise, like trust exercises. They would be on a beach and they were shirtless. They would have shirtless dance parties. I'm like, this is just like, you're just at a gay bar. You realize that, right? Like this is like a pride festival. Only you don't have a lot of pride. It's like a secret pride festival. And the wives are like, he's been so happy since he came back from gay conversion camp. Yeah, because he was doing all the gay stuff and getting to hook up with people he really wants to hook up with. And then now he begrudgingly has to be like, I guess I got to stay here. And it was crazy because all the men were like, I think it worked so well. We're going to do it regularly. We're going to do it. I was like, of course you're going to do it regularly because you're gay. And that's okay. Oh my gosh. It is tax any religion that says gay is wrong at this point. You don't get to be free from taxes because this is some bullshit. Because you got ladies out here getting cheated on and lied to because of this dumb stuff when really they just want to be gay in the forest. Let them be forest gay. It was Brokeback Camp. And they were playing this with all earnest, with all sincerity on PBS. And they'd be like, how was camp, honey? It was great. I learned so much. It's like, honey, you have something, right? You have a little something there. Yeah. Can't wait to go back. He just, and he's been really happy. Yeah, because he's just counting down the days on the calendar until he gets to go back to gay camp. I'd feel the same way. If, it's the same way I would feel as a straight woman. If they're like, you cannot be straight. You have to hook up with ladies. I'd be like, what? I'm sure I could make it work for like a minute, but eventually I'd be like, I gotta go to Pray the Straight Away camp. And I'd meet up with Chell, and that's that about that. So DGF said billions and billions of genes are splitting around the world, creating different kinds of people. It's ridiculously that simple, that there are variations. That's Adam. That's what I thought when Louis did that, Teresa's husband, when he friggin' went on the beach with all those guys and they were like hugging and they were like, we got to quit treating women so bad. Let's hug tit to tit. I was like, are you sure that's not like a Pray the Gay Away camp? And Louis just getting all red-faced. Or maybe Louis is only red-faced when he can't be around his angry man friends. But why do men, every time they go to these camps, why do they have to take their shirts off? Do you ever think, like, every time they're doing kind of like this, and it's always the ones that go, I'm a real man. Yeah, I'm a man. Let's take our shirts off and touch. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, no, you can definitely, that's still manly, 100%. But why do you have to like hate on gay men? Because it's weird. It's a sausage fest. I learned how to make fire with woodies. Yep. Just we all had boners, and the friction of our boners lit the fire. And we thought about straight sex. Yeah, even though we did hook up with each other, but we closed our eyes and thought about Jesus. And Jesus is like, don't think about me. Don't leave me out of this. Okay? It's crazy. Oh my gosh. Brian says, I'm very gay, like super gay. Ooh, like a superpower gay. I'm a complete and total gay man. You know what? I don't want to hang out with JD Vance and his really bad makeup game. That's the thing. I think that a lot of these guys have been, probably JD Vance has probably been turned down by very attractive, gay men such as you. And that really hurt him. And so now everyone's going to pay. Now, no one gets to have fun. No one gets to know how to do makeup. No one gets to love who they want to love. There's no glitter, no rainbows, no Bob the drag queen. It's just boring city township with JD Vance retelling us the story about his mom. Okay, that's your mom's story. What's yours? What's yours? When you're not riding the coattails of your mom and writing her story and monetizing off of it and using it to climb the ranks in your profession and garner sympathy, what do you do exactly, sir? What is it that you do? Instead of want to recreate The Handmaid's Tale? Oh my gosh. And we all know about Lady Lindsey Graham. We do. We know about the lady. Stacey says, such a coward. He talks so much crap about her after. Could you imagine if he stood up in the middle of the church and had a tantrum? Yeah. I know he wanted to. Must be meant. And the fact that he could talk about a woman like this, who isn't driven by the almighty dollar, who isn't helping out her billionaire friends hoard money, who isn't corrupt, who's never been found liable of sexual misconduct, who has never been charged with felonies, who's never had their university they run proven to be a complete fraud. The fact that he can sit there and judge her, and it's like, how do people who actually are Christians, how do they justify his behavior and him talking about her like that when she literally was just saying it in such a nice way? Like, can you do what Jesus did? If you truly are a man who follows God, can you love your neighbor? Can you have empathy for the people who are scared and realize that I know you want to villainize all these people and that makes it easier to push forth your agenda, but also remember that they're humans at the end of the day and people are afraid. And he's like, that fucking bitch. This is crazy. Crazy. Oh my gosh. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Angela says, oh, one of our most vocal anti-gay legislators is now in prison after being caught in a motel room with not a pedo. Oh my God. It's always those dudes. Always. It's now textbook that you see the leaders, legislators, pastors that are like, gays wrong, always get caught. And there are escorts out there going, Lindsey Graham, how come I got the most Venmos from you? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? It's so crazy. Have I watched Sister Wives? I did watch a couple seasons of it a long time ago. I cannot stand that Cody man. He's a monster. I don't like him. Jim said, oh, that was definitely a gay camp. I said I wanted to go to that. Exactly. I was like, of course, all the gays are going to be like, I'm next. Me. That's, shit. If they were like, oh, Jolene, you just go, to a camp with a bunch of, hot guys and their shirts off and I'm single. And I'm like, yeah, I'll sign me up for that camp. That sounds great. Is this Temptation Island? It was literally Temptation Island for the homophobes who are closet cases. Chickenhead, thank you for the super chat. Chickenhead says, when men get together, they always have a pissing contest. There's always some kind of circle jerk nation going on when it's the ones that are like, no, I'm straight. I love vagina. What? I've never heard a straight man be like, straight sex. Never once has my husband been like, straight sex is the best sex. And never has my husband worried about what gay men are doing in their bedrooms. No, we have a family member who is me and Chell roast his ass because he's always like, gays. I just don't understand it. I'm like, what do you want to understand? So sometimes we will just like, what kind of sex are you trying to understand? He's, oh no, God, no. And I'm like, well, you're the one bringing it up. I don't hear a lot of gay men walking around or gay women going, I just want to know more about straight sex. Like, no, what do you care? It's not the sex you're having. As long as it's between two consensual adults, get it on. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do. Thank you, Brian Scott Patterson, for becoming a member of the channel. Chickenhead, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, JD is using his wife as a reason why he can't be racist. Yes, he's one of those whites, which is why we need critical race theory. Because those whites will emerge. Yes. Pamela says, it's ironic that the same people who claim to love Jesus get offended when someone follows his teachings. Isn't it crazy? When literally you're told by someone who has studied it, who preaches it, who spreads the word of the Lord, and instead they're going to believe a Cheeto man who's a cheater and a liar and never talked about religion, faith, God, never saw him in a church, nothing until it would benefit him in an election. Come on. They're going to believe him over this lovely lady. It's a shame. Thank you. Thank you, Kara, for saying my hair looks nice. It don't feel nice. I'll tell you that. It's got a lot of dry shampoo. Are we just talking about whatever? Well, we were roasting up Trump and the situation, and that turned into roasting up homophobes, and then that turned into roasting up the gay conversion camp. So it's really been like a smorgasbord, like a hot dish of fun over here. Before that, we were talking about James Kennedy. So all the things. Lazy says, I'm glad this is not a no politics zone. Love Jolene's unabashedly feminist and ally views on politics. It can't be. I used to work in politics. I grew up in politics. Politics is all around us. I'm a comedian. It's impossible not to. This is what's happening. This is pop culture. These are trending topics. These are things that are going on, And so, yes, we're here. I'm sure, whenever it is talked about, we get people upset. So no offense, all offense. Evelyn says, thank you, Jolene, for the sanity. Yeah, we're living in a difficult, turbulent era in the US right now. I mean, I find comfort in the people who make fun of this, also the people who explain it. You know, I like to follow the accounts who, despite all this craziness going on and confusion and propaganda, the accounts that want to break it down for you, the accounts that want to still show empathy, or like the Jon Stewarts, or, you know, the different comedians who talk about this. So I think that is probably, you know, for a lot of us, that is what's going to get us through, is just being able to say it out loud. Because I'll tell you, the MAGA group, for the most part, vocal. They have more influencers, more people online screaming their message with no humor, just literally screaming and freaking out, like how, you know, they're like, we're going to own the libs, and really they're like owning themselves because they're crying and having hissy fits over there and getting very upset. Let's see. Dreadful says, yeah, there are people who don't understand it and go about their lives in ignorance. And then there's people who seem consumed by their hatred of gay and trans people. That's more than ignorance. That is more than ignorance. Thank you, Christy and Plants. Jolene, your lives are my favorite part of the afternoons. I appreciate that. That's sweet of you to say. Silly Goose, thank you so much for the super chat. Love it here. I love you being here. HC says, roast Bryn Whit. I don't watch New York. What the heck with her trying to villainize? I don't watch that show. And I can't. And even accounts that I follow who I like accounts I follow on social media who were giving Roni a chance, New Roni. Now they've even turned on New Roni. HC. So I wish I could, but I'm like, I can't. Brian says, I worked in India in 2024, and I guarantee that JD Vance's wife hates him and wants status. She is pretty, but dangerous. Interesting. Graphic says, I had a coworker while I was in college that said she shouldn't be friends because he was gay. And I was raised Catholic. I looked at him and said, I don't care who he loves. I like him as my friend. Yeah. I was raised Catholic too, but I never hated a gay person a day in my life. Well, I mean, obviously, if I meet a gay person who I get, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I never hated someone because they were gay, but I'm sure, actually, honestly, I don't really think I've ever disliked or gotten in a fight with, like, been like, you're done, like Aquarius ghosted any of my gay friends. I'll have to think, but never just because someone is gay. Never know. Ever seen John Christ's, like Jesus Christ? No, I don't. Sounds familiar. I'm not sure. Life is politics, every aspect. It seeps in. It's the same way how it gets in when we talk about Big Brother. And people are like, don't bring that up. It's like, hello, it's a microcosm, like that house and everything that goes on in reality and all their experiences. And they bring in with them all their trauma, all their tragedy, all of their prejudices. Everything goes into that house, what formed them into being the person they are. So all that shit's going to come up, whether it's sexism, racism, because they are real issues that we deal with on the daily in society. So then when you take these people, you pluck them off and put them on a reality show like Big Brother and lock them away. It's amazing that those things don't go away and they're still talked about because that's how prevalent they are in our everyday lives, you know. Otter says, I sent Franklin Graham a letter years ago. Over his support of Donald Trump. He actually answered and sent me a book. He basically said, no one is perfect. He's repented. Interesting. I used to write, Nana saves my little clippings, and I used to write letters to the editor at my school because my school was, the college I went to was in a small Wisconsin town and it was more conservative. And I was like writing back and forth, competing letters to the editor with this like farm boy guy who, and Nana gave me some of them. So I'll have to maybe read one from like 2002, but it's crazy thinking back, the similarities and how we're still dealing with a lot of the same issues. Obviously, times are repeating themselves, but my mom, aka Nana, we love her. She always saves my every little writing thing I did and letters I wrote to NBC when I was mad they put another episode of American Gladiators on instead of Saved by the Bell, or when they canceled My So-Called Life and I wrote a letter. So, Yeah, I hear it got crazy on New York, but I just can't bring myself to sit down and watch it. Rebecca becoming a member. Maybe when there is a link in the description of this video, there's a link to the membership, but maybe one of my mods could drop it if one of them are here in the chat, and then I can put it up. But I think if you just go to like my main page, there should be a join and you can see the membership. Let's see. Kiki says they are all gay. That's the best part. Oh, of the people that are at the conversion camp. Stacy, thank you so much. Stacy, and for the super chat. Stacy says, appreciate making this a safe space for my political rants. Love you even more because it's our opinion. That's fine. We have to. I didn't even play this today, which is crazy. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. It's just our opinion. If Tamara Judge can have it, we can. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate the super chat. Thanks, Jolene and Lean team. You guys are wonderful. Wonderful. Vanderpump reboot when? Beasto. They're filming with the new cast, but I don't know when it's going to be out. So yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see. Kiki says, if you're religious, he teaches not to hate and to love everyone, period. Yeah. Jesus literally hung out with poor people. He washed people's feet. He hung out with Mary Magdalene. And then the men that wrote the Bible couldn't handle that Jesus could possibly have a female disciple. So they turned her into a damn prostitute. We see you. We see what you're doing. He liked that lady. Okay. Jesus wouldn't give a shit. He was the nicest guy you're ever going to meet. That's the Jesus that I was taught through Catholicism. And well, I should say they didn't always say it that way, but through luckily I have parents who, my dad especially, was very much like question everything, critical thinking. I mean, I feel very lucky because hashtag not all boomers, because my boomer parents were at the March for the People, the anti-Trump march. While I know a lot of my friends struggle with relationships sometimes with their parents who have gone full MAGA to where they're like, this guy is their God. I can't think of a politician that I've ever cheered for like a football team, but you see that with Trump. You see them really, and that's why people compare it to a cult, like an unhealthy cult, because it's like the man can do no wrong, and like you're cheering for a sports team, and you can't. It's not like sports. You have to critically look at, these are leaders who work for us. This is the leader of the United States. Like you can't just go whatever he says. And we knew it was going cuckoo when we started questioning. They started being questioned about like, if Trump, when he was talking about a dictatorship, basically, would you be okay with Trump being, like a dictator? And they were willing to give up. So many of his supporters were willing to give up democracy and willing to be like, yeah, well, if it was Trump, I would. And it's like, that's so scary. That is frightening. Out of all the leaders there have ever been, all the legislators, all the presidents, there is not one that I would say, perfect, 10 out of 10, nothing wrong, or one that I stand like them. Because I think it's scary when you lose that kind of critical thought. So I'm lucky in that my parents were very much raised me to question things and to, that it's serious. Like our democracy is serious. Politics can be very serious. So you can't treat it like your favorite singer or your favorite sports team. Thank you, Rachel, for the super chat. Rachel says, do you think people would rather stay in echo chambers where everyone agrees or expose themselves to more accurate info where they could potentially change their biased views? Truth versus feelings. I don't know, because I feel like I'm someone, I like to even listen to what the other side is saying. I don't like, because what is scary for, for both sides, like bipartisanly, it's scary that our algorithms can kind of create our reality and what we believe. And really, we only have the knowledge now, on these phones of what they're showing us. So to see so many people, have see it be so divisive, but then you're like, oh, but their algorithm and the things they read and see, and the places they go to for their media or, social media is reaffirming those beliefs the same way my algorithm reaffirms mine. So I think it is important to venture out and it used to not be so divisive. I remember I have friends who are Republican. You know what I mean? Like that, I was never the type of person that's going to be like, well, I guess I can't be your friend. I mean, probably when I was really little, I was more like like that's good and this is bad. Then as you get older, you realize that that's not necessarily true, but one of our bestest friends, Patrick, who lives in Arizona, Chell and I, he was so conservative. He just like loved Ronald Reagan and stuff, but he was one of our really good friends, and we would have great political, discourse and debate and stuff. But I think MAGA, probably starting with the Tea Party, maybe even a little bit around Reagan, we started to, and especially with MAGA, we started to close in to where now it is, I think a lot of those people want to stay in the echo chambers, because even when things were brought up about Elon Musk throwing up a Nazi salute, or just things that are like right in front of their face. Like if you point out things about Joe Biden that are right in front of someone's face, to most Democrats, I will say, I don't really know a lot of Democrats who are like, yeah, Joe Biden, he's my dream president. I think we can point out things that were like, oh, we like that Joe Biden was pro-union. We like that Joe Biden was able to do this. We didn't like his stance on this. I wanted someone who would be, but with MAGA, it seems like a lot of them don't want to do that. They can't. And it's built on that, question nothing, where I was raised by, well, Eileen and Paul, but Tupac as well. And Tupac said, question everything. So I'm going to question. I mean, I even like myself some Bernie Sanders, but still question. I'm not running around here like, he's the best thing ever. I'm like, he's just a man and he works for us, the people. And the minute that they start, not working for us and working in an oligarchy, for the billionaires, for this small percentage of people, and they're standing right in front of us at the inauguration staring at us like we own this shit, that's when we're in trouble. That's when we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense why we haven't. And that's, obviously Democrats and Republicans are responsible for the oligarchy that is, now so blatant. It didn't just start with Trump. I mean, it's been coming this way in my opinions, but I think exposing yourself to more accurate information. I always like to see what the other side is saying. I do. And I like people, I like to have a little like civil discourse about it. So I don't know. I don't know what other people think. It seems like they're encouraged not to want to do that and to kind of want to be on a team. But maybe there are people that, I don't know. It's just, it's interesting. Pamela says, you're always a safe space for me. Oh, thanks, Pamela B. You little woke ass. You little wokies. Maybe we should call you the little wokies. The lean team, the little woke asses. Brian says, the weather in the valley is out of control right now. I saw a fire. I know, I was watching the fire stuff last night. It was freaking me out and flipped out. Literally, I'm going to Antarctica on the 1st of February. Send us a postcard and let us know how it is. Rebecca says, I remind everyone to ask themselves if they think Trump's desire to be president is to serve the public or to stay out of prison. Or you can even add to that. Is it to serve the public or is it to stay out of prison and make more money? Because the dude sells Trump Bibles made in China. He's making a lot of money off this presidency. Dreadful Ruby says, the View being anyone's idea of the left is an example of why, as a leftist, echo chambers aren't a thing. All major representations are just different sides of the same establishment coin. Yeah, I think, well, I mean, shit, I think what this election showed us is that the left or whatever, if we are going to have this two-party, system, which heavily flawed, just having the two-party system and the fact that we haven't been able to get campaign finance reform or get, if I really do believe change could happen in our society once we get the big money and big donors out of politics. But both sides take money from these big corporations. And so obviously their vested interest is going to be there. It's kind of like if, someone pays my mortgage and I'm looking at them and someone who doesn't pay my mortgage, well, I'm going to be more partial to be like, oh, what can I do for you? I'll help you. If they both need help at the same time, I'll be like, but she pays my mortgage. So I'm going to head that way. So of course, these politicians who get them in, I mean, Elon Musk gave Trump a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, there definitely should be a cap on how much. You shouldn't need this much money to run a campaign on any level of, government. And you definitely should not be able to take from certain big donors, certain PACs and things, because I think it just becomes a huge conflict of interest where then no longer are any of the leaders working for us. They work for where you work for who pays you, and we know that from them. But yeah, AJ says, I might get through the next 4 years with your comedy about it. We'll make fun of it. We have to. We have to. Yanni says, we're the most propagandized country in the world while screaming about freedom and no censorship and pointing the finger at the other country. I love how they're like, finally free speech is back. What? Okay. Yeah. Let's see how that works. That and the price of eggs. But yeah, the propaganda. I mean, really, there are so many countries, and I'm sure other people can come into the chat who live elsewhere than the United States, can tell you that it is encouraged in a lot of countries and in their educational system to teach critical thinking, because wasn't that one of the arguments against TikTok, was that China was kind of sending our youth all the dumb shit, but then the videos, it was like the dumbing down of America even more, where, for their youth was more things that were helpful or educational. I mean, that's one of the things that was said. But now it's like, we don't want any kind of critical thought. We don't want any kind of criticism on, the leaders and all these things. And you see all these kind of you see fascism slowly, not that slowly, taking over. And it's cuckoo. It's cuckoo. Tracy said, there's a right and a wrong, though. And Trump is definitely that line. Oh, he's wrong. He's the wrongest piece of wrong that ever wrongered. He's not here for any person. He is here for him, his dollar bills. Evelyn says, my mother is MAGA, and I have such strong boundaries with her, limits my time with her. It took me a couple years for her to stop bringing up politics on right-wing talk. Ugh. That must be so hard. That's when I feel, I literally feel so lucky that my parents, because I know I have so many friends who their parents don't even talk to them anymore. They literally gave up their family, And Rachel says, I actually very strongly disagree with you on probably every single thing, to the point where it's triggering. It's really amazing how different our realities are. Like, I see this as an echo chamber too. Yeah. I mean, if you come in here and you see the majority of people, agreeing, I guess you could see it as that, but it's not like the other opinion isn't welcome. It's not like you're not able to say anything, I guess. And I don't think it's necessarily an echo chamber if you're still, talking, and it's definitely not, our responsibility to make sure you're not triggered. Maybe you could ask why you're triggered, and to assume that, for me to assume that you don't go into other places to get information or hear other sides, or to assume that I don't do that, and I think that's based on your original super chat, right? Because that your original super chat, I think, if I look back, was talking about the echo chamber. So yeah, I had a feeling when I read it, I was like, she's probably saying this, but I think it is. I think it is important to go other places where they might not have the same views as you, and see if, anything there, and see what other people are saying. I think that, and that's why, I mean, I worked for a conservative talk radio station for years. They had a conservative talk radio station, and then they had like a music you hear in like the dentist. And then they also had the first women's talk radio station in the country. And I got along really well with the conservative talk radio show hosts. And a couple times I did a couple of their shows, and it was fun to have that kind of discourse. But I feel like that, especially through MAGA and through Trump, that's definitely been torn down, to where they used to have this show called the Politics, and they had it on the conservative talk radio station, which I listened to all day as like a pretty progressive liberal chick, I guess. And I would listen to it, and not with anger. I would listen to it as to be like, well, what are they thinking? Like, what is this whole other side thinking? Because I never wanted to look at it like you're my enemy because of the way you vote. But now it's so divisive. And now we're literally talking about electing a man who it's not just politics, it's like morality, humanity with his certain things. But anyways, they had this show called The Politics, and it was a woman who was very liberal and one who was very conservative. And their show was amazing. And they were really good friends too. But they would bring the issues to the table and they would talk about them. They would have like a nice discourse about, you know, one from a liberal woman, one from a conservative chick. And I kind of miss, not kind of, I deeply miss those days where that was possible. But I feel like now you can't say anything that is against Trump because it feels like a cult, you know? So, so it's too bad that we can't kind of have that same discourse, but it's literally like this party has told you to hate people for who they are. This party has just, it's crazy because if they give you a common enemy, you know, they can get a lot more done. And, you know, divided we fall, and they have divided us. They've succeeded. So you don't need me to like explain that to you, you know. So let's see. Christina says wokeness and the far left have destroyed the Democratic Party. Well, I think that I get what you're saying. I hear that from a lot of people. That's not necessarily my view of it, but I respect that's your view. But I think that this whole wokeness, I think that was more of like a campaign to kind of villainize anyone who might have, you know, I think they've created into, someone in the chat said it far better than me, but they said it, well, I wish I should have highlighted that comment, but or like they like were was it tattletales or like we're hall monitors or something who are going around like, you can't say that. And then they put these compilations together on YouTube that I've watched too, where it's like, piss this Karen off, or, you know, own the libs. And it's all these, of course, ladies, you know, they were like, stop it. You can't say that. And it's like, not everyone, that's not really what wokeness is. I always looked at whatever they called wokeness, you know, was just like, you know, your eyes were awake to things, to the systemic racism in society. Your eyes are awake to like sexism and the patriarchy and stuff like that. I guess that. But now wokeness is, they're going to take your kids into school and you're going to come home. He's going to go to school, Tommy, and he's going to come home, Tammy. Okay. And Tammy's going to have tits on. And you're like, what? Huh? So they've created like an enemy with the woke. Anyone who's like, hey, that doesn't sound right. I don't know. Maybe white people shouldn't be saying the N-word, you know, maybe we should. And they're like, woke bullshit. And it's like Roseanne Barr. And then people started jumping on that. So I don't think necessarily that destroyed it. I do think that there are, I think, being able to speak directly to the problems in society, like, you know, to the, you know, insurance issues, getting that so people are insured, and also the insurance companies not taking advantage of us with, you know, through the Luigi Mangione situation, and how, you know, I think that focusing on those kind of things would probably do the Democratic Party a lot, you know, probably be a lot better for them. But I think the Republicans have done a successful job of kind of villainizing that. Like, they just want us all to call them they, them. I'm not calling them they, them, but how about this Gulf of America? How about the Gulf of America? And you're like, what? Why are we renaming bodies of water? Katie says, I disagree with Christina B about wokeness and far left. I'm progressive, and that gets lumped in with that, and it's frustrating. Me too. I always considered myself, you know, progressive, and people are like, she woke, and I'm like, and I think for a lot of progressives and liberals now, you don't want to be called woke because they've turned that into this like fucking tattletale shit, and you're like, Tracy says, comparing the rest of the world, USA is very behind on almost every aspect. Don't tell Trump that. Don't let that get out. Angela says the far right spent a lot of money to push this narrative against woke, trans, CRT, and people are falling for it. Yeah. And that's why propaganda is so used so much, because it works. you say it enough times, people start believing it. I've heard this a lot of times, so it must be true. And that's why it was so successful for the Nazis and during World War II, the propaganda, and it remains true, unfortunately, today, where you just keep saying these things. If you think about it, Trump came in office and all of a sudden he was like, no news is real. Nothing is legitimate. Everything is fake news. So people are like, you're right. So if you're saying nothing is real and we can't believe anything, but except for Fox News, who was sued and had to pay out quite a bit of money for putting out false news, which is strange and ironic. But if you literally say all news is fake and that the only news you'll hear that is true is from me and my people, that's crazy. But they were able to successfully do that in a way where people are like, yeah, the media, liars. And I'm not saying the media is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you definitely need the media. You definitely need checks and balances when it comes to that. You can't just be getting your information from Trump, but that's where they made it, where no one trusts anything. Because nowadays you literally, there's comedians that make a living doing this, going on the street, showing people like, look at, especially with the Elon Musk thing. He's literally showing Trump supporters. One of the guys that hosts the Daily Show, I forgot his name, the really tall guy. He's funny. He was like, what do you think about this? And they're like, is that AI? And they're like, no, it really, how do you know? And yeah, well, maybe they took it out of context. Then they play the whole clip. Well, and they want to make excuses, and it's okay to criticize, to go. There was one MAGA guy who was like, I don't like that. I don't think that's right. And that's, you should do that. When you see, your party or your leaders veering off that way, it's up to us as Americans to check them and be like, we're not going to put up with that. But just blindly being like, it's great, I love it, sure, dictator, give it to me. What? Hitler salute? Okay, maybe he's got heart problems, heard he's autistic, which is like a slap in the face to every autistic person that they're just like hailing Hitler every chance they get. So yes, Jordan Klepper, that's his name, I think. Jordan, I think he's super, super funny. But anyways, so that is fun. Kiki says, we are supposed to be one nation under God. Our country can't be more split. It's the most divisive. It's crazy. Yeah, you guys all know. You guys knew who I was talking about. The tall, funny guy. Brian says, wokeness in LA, asking your neighbor if they're okay. Looking out for your friends. Watching our houses and neighbors. I'm in a goddamn wind event right now, but I love the valley and look out for each other. And that's what, oh my God, when they were showing like the Alabama governor or something, and how this is the first, like natural disaster that's really been politicized. Because I don't remember, I live in California, I don't remember anyone in California going, we're not helping them. How did they vote? They deserve it. God put that on them. I don't remember anyone in California. When there's hurricanes, when there's floods, when there's fires anywhere else, we're like, help, go help. I mean, I think Japan just gave us like 20 million or something. Like other countries are coming in. Mexico is sending their firefighters here. I mean, people, this is what you do. You help. But some of these assholes are politicizing it and just being monsters about it. Like, I can't even look at the comments anymore because they're like, California deserves this. It's like, I'm sorry, what? Excuse me? It is insane that this is now acceptable for people to go, it doesn't matter. And they forget that California, there's a huge parts of California that are very, very red. But that shouldn't matter when there's a natural disaster. I don't care if Florida, arguably I should then feel the same way about Florida and DeSantis and be like, F them. But I don't feel that way because there's real people there. There are real Americans there. There are children there. There are families. And just because they voted one way doesn't mean I think they should be exempt from help from a natural disaster. And you need California. Okay. I don't want to toot our own horn here, but people are really shitting on it. And we really bring it for the other states. Alabama. So I was just like, and I hope, I don't think most Alabamans feel that way. So whoever this guy was saying that, I'm like, what? Like LA is definitely helping its own. I mean, LA, the size of the city alone is bigger than most states. So I think one of the biggest problems is the misinformation being put out there, and just so people are just so willing to put out the misinformation and so confidently and they'll take one little thing and then run with it and be like, see, for a way to dunk on Newsom. Okay. Well, maybe wait a little bit before there's reasons to dunk on Newsom. Okay. But right now people are struggling. Fires are still burning. New fires are breaking out. And so the misinformation is probably the worst part. And I've heard so much misinformation. We heard about FEMA and about the Red Cross when it came to, the recent floods and things. So it's just so much. It's so funny that, this fake news thing that has been created has now turned into so much misinformation being spread. Now that there's no journalism, there's no journalists that can be trusted, and you look at who now is buying out the social, who owns these social media companies, who owns certain publications and their affiliations. And it's a little scary, guys. Brian said, yeah, LA is serving the community. Yes, I live in the Valley in Los Angeles. It's very scary. I evacuated last week, but we love our neighbors. That's what I saw when I went down. I lived in LA for 6 years, but now I'm out in Palm Springs. But when my husband and I went to LA and we went to our friend's coffee shop and they were having a drive and donations and stuff, it was amazing to see on every corner, every little coffee shop, store, place, it was just people helping people. It's just such a resilient, wonderful city that's not just celebrity and rich people. For the most part, it is people just like you and I, people who grew up there. It's not all, when we say the bad things about LA, it's usually the people who move there to be in the business. It's not the people who are from there, the people who have lived there, the generations. When we talk about the fires in Altadena and talking about the homes that were destroyed and the generational wealth, it being the first suburb, I think, outside of LA, where, Black Americans were owning homes and creating generational wealth, and to see that all, taken away so quickly, and to just see so many people. I have friends who I'm like, come out here, stay with me. The air quality is horrible, but so many of our friends love this city and the people so much that they're like, no, I want to stay. And everyone I know is doing something to help, and I feel hopeless living out here. And that's why, my husband and I have went back to LA, and then out here, I was able to, get together with some other comedians, and we were able to do a show out in Joshua Tree and raise money. But that's the thing. If you've lived in the city before, if you live in the city now, it really is magical. It's not without its issues or problems like any city, but the people are so resilient and beautiful. And so that's why it's horrible to see the way they're spoken about and the way people are just kind of laughing at them, when I don't ever remember a time where I was laughing at people in Tennessee or laughing at people in Florida or laughing, when natural disasters happen places. I don't think who did you vote for and you deserve this and this is God's sign. It's that's pretty effed up. Care Bear says, I'm interested in healthcare. Me too, Care Bears. Me too. We got to figure that shit out. Mimi says, so I actually agree here. I don't think Elon is a literal Nazi, not a literal one. I just think he really loves attention and owning the libs. And he did this on purpose, knowing the outrage it would cause. Yes, but I think if you see some of the things he's posted on his very own Twitter, because it'll never be X to me account, and the groups that he follows and the way he has most definitely tweeted about them, I should say, or wanting to, wanting the white race to go extinct. I think if we look into Elon's history, we'll see some things that are very problematic and lead you down the road of, oh yeah, he knew what he was doing and he's doing this. And this goes back to the Proud Boy shit. So, being governor, he's a president. I never said Trump was, or maybe you're talking to someone else. Sorry. You guys are now talking to each other. All right. Except what of your grandparents were, and now you make the gesture. Nope. Yeah. It's just crazy that day one, it's already, you knew it was going to be not good, or at least I did. I think a lot of us did. But now day one, they're already defending a Nazi salute. Not once, but twice. Once, twice, 2 times a Nazi salute. And Elon loves the whites. Elon loves the whites. So, goodness gracious. Yeah. I do have links in the chat, Osfly Girl, for the latest in donations and stuff. But I think as far as keeping up with the fires, I've just been following, on YouTube, where they have like literal lives going on 24/7. And it's been even hard for me to keep up with where they are. So I can't imagine being actually in the city and getting all of those alerts and notifications and evacuation notices. And sometimes they're like, just kidding, not you guys. And I mean, just talking to my friends and family, the amount of like stress and trauma you're feeling, just thinking at any moment you're going to have to leave your home. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your humor and heart. Well, we're at 2 hours. You guys have been so fun, and you've been beautiful, wonderful, little pumpkin spice babies. And I appreciate each and every one of you and your opinions and all the things. And, we're going to get through it. We're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. Oh, Brian said, the way I need to hear your thoughts on LA. Thank you. I'm crying. Well, I hope, stay safe, we're just thinking and sending you all the love and the goodness and all of that. But it really is. It's amazing. The people of LA are amazing. As much as it's fun to kind of rip on LA and be whatever, it really is an amazing city with amazing people. And just when the world is kind of, the rest of the country, not everybody is like shitting on LA, how they've just come together to help their own is pretty amazing. Yes, Traders Tonight graphics. I will be back, you guys, not too long from now. So, and we'll be watching, is it episode 5 of Traders? So we'll see what happens, the aftermath of Boston Rob, going after Bob the drag queen. And now he's got to answer to Danielle and Carolyn. So we will see. Yeah, sending love to California. Again, links are right in the description of this video. It'll take you to so many different places you can help, whether you want to help animals, whether you want to help specific families. There's a spreadsheet of family GoFundMes that they've been keeping up, whether you want to give to the firefighter fund. There's just so many ways, if you can, to please help out, and ways that you can like volunteer if you want to do that, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Hit that like, don't forget to comment, even if you've already commented in the live chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of your comments, but I appreciate them. So don't forget to comment on the video after it posts. Follow me on social media at Joleen Lunzer on Instagram. And until next time, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Bye.
If you like what you see.